recording starting. Okay, so hopefully you have set an intention for this space. If you are comfortable, share it in the chat. At least my intention is to stay in flow, to go with the flow. And part of that is just recognizing that sometimes we have to let, the energy move us where we need to go, um, and not always stay on script. Okay. So today's webinar, it's November, if you can believe it. We are here to talk about how to reclaim our balance. And one of those things is setting intentions, right? And really starting to think about empathy. The way I wanted to think about this is like self-empathy as well as um, burnout, and ways that we can be aware of how burnout shows up and what we can do about it. So for people who may not know me and were invited by a friend, I'm so glad that you invited people. My name is Dr. Deetra Hawkins, and our very short hour, I want to go through some information to hopefully help us start to identify some blocks that sometimes get in our way, and contribute to burnout, start to encourage us to think about some shifts we can make in our mindsets. And we're always interested in helping you and others start to cultivate more connections, and practice self-compassion. We, as an organization, support people and leaders to get grounded in their purpose, to be mindful of how to align their day-to-day practices with their values, and to stretch in the direction of possibility, which is really built in this understanding of being more appreciative in how we try to flow. In most of our work, and I thought today would be important, especially, we start off by sharing with you our basic tenets. And so to begin with, we recognize that there's a context in which we're all in, and that is true for lots of different ways, whether it's the context of actually showing up virtually, if it's the context of we just had a recent election, if it's the context of getting ready for the holidays, right? We know that the work that we're about is about a journey, and that it's really important that we are aware of our filters. So one of the things I wanted to make a note of just real quick too is that when we talk about burnout, we are not talking about depression. Those are actually very different things, and it's important that you get the support for depression. The things that we do for burnout will be very different. So as we talk about filters and information, I want us to be aware of that. It's also important that when we talk about doing any of this work, when we're talking about compassion and burnout and just, sort of that elusive balance, that really the work is often very messy. And in some ways, we need to find ways to embrace that mess. This is not going to be a how-to, right? None of our work is about how-to. It's really about giving some ideas. And from an appreciative lens, I want to encourage you to take what works and leave the rest. Some of the things work for some of us, some don't work for others. I know lots of people, for example, who do not like journaling. And then there's some of us who've been journaling since we were 13 years old. Right. And it's just some things work for some things don't work for others. And we just want to encourage you to take what works. In our journeys, we believe that all of us have a role to play. And so sometimes we're here to listen, and sometimes we're here to share our stories so other people can gain from our lived experience. In most of the work that we do, it's important that we recognize that blaming people or trying to find that one thing. I was just on a call and people were talking about like, well, what is it that is going on? How do we find the issue? It was very much focused on trying to do sort of problem solving. My experience is that people are complex. And so we actually need to have complex understandings of the work that we do. So we're not really here to try to assign blame and give one person that responsibility, right? We are looking to create kind of collective healing, if you will, and community compassion for each other. So before I go any further, I'm going to invite you all to answer a poll. Okay, about 70% have finished the poll. We still have a few more to go. All right. Should we share the results? Are you able to see the results of the poll?
I'm sharing them now.
Okay, great. So, what this is very fun. Half of you get our newsletter and half of you don't. Okay, so we'll be having a new issue coming out in December, so definitely sign up. It's one of our ways of sharing not only new opportunities, but also sharing with you how some of the work we do at different groups. We had a number of folks who were saying to us, Dr. Dietrich, we didn't know you worked with this group or with that group. And so we like to highlight some of the different groups we work with, and it gives you an idea of what kind of support we can offer. Um, Hope that many of you would love, that's also want to know more about our equity cohorts, our facilitation support and work. So definitely check out the website. We'll also be getting ready to sign people up for the next wave of that. That'll be starting in February. And I love that someone was with me when they said, is it that time already? Okay, at least 29% of you are with me on that in terms of the holiday. And many of us are probably also ready for a break. So I totally, totally get that. And hope that you all will have a very safe time together. So getting into the content for today, well, one, it's always helpful that we kind of get an idea who's in the room, but in terms of content, wanted to start here and just to ask you or to make note that one of the things that I see that happens in terms of blockers is that they're stories we tell ourselves, right? That make us think that, oh, I just need to hold on. Things will get better in 2 weeks. Is anybody familiar with saying that? If that is familiar, put a 1 in the chat. Is anyone here familiar or see in their workplaces where people who like don't take vacation, overwork, tend to like get a lot of credit for things like, we celebrate that overwork. If that is true, put an A in the chat. Okay. Okay, another blocker is codependency, and that is complicated. But the piece I wanted to highlight here in terms of a block is that sometimes we get into this mindset that people can't do things if you're not there. And that you have to make sure that they that you're there and central all the time. And I would recommend looking into this, because this dynamic, like, you start off being helpful and then it becomes to a point where you're not taking care of yourself. So those are some of the key blocks. They're not all of them. And I can tell that many of us relate to that. We need to be aware of the stories that we tell ourselves and how subtle they start off, but then how they kind of grow. Instead of trying to celebrate people who are overworking and stay late and, uh, are just always there, you can always count on them, right, to cover. We need to celebrate when people are taking breaks and using their vacation and actually tracking that. And also that we are preparing so that when someone, because this is the other thing that happens, right? You go on vacation, when you come back, there's like all this stuff. And so then people are like, well, I can't ever leave. That is only creating like this ongoing dynamic. So we just want to be mindful of that. And it is possible to start to make that shift. It is very possible to bring that balance. For that, I thought it would be helpful if we actually did a little bit of a meditation. It's only going to be like 5 minutes long. Let's see if it's going to work. All right. Let's try this.
Okay, I'd love to ask everybody listening to the show right now to just practice some gentle breath work with me.
Oh, can you hear it?
Wherever you are and however feels comfortable.
That's what I
Just
thought.
to
Hold on a
position
second.
that.
So I almost did it correctly. And like, I'm sharing my screen, but I'm not sharing my sound. Okay, here we go.
Feels good for your body. You can be sitting down, you can be even laying on your back, and just gently close your eyes. And let's just feel ourselves inside of ourselves for a second. And I'd like to invite you to take your right hand and just go ahead and place it over your heart center. And take your left hand and place it over your sacral chakra. So that is the space where your womb is, underneath your belly button. And just have one hand there, one hand on your heart. And just feel yourself for a moment. Feel your own touch. Feel your own support. Feel the warmth of your hand, the space that it's taking up. Let's just take a few deep breaths in and out through our nose with our eyes gently closed. So we can take a deep breath in through our noses together. And just hold it at the top for a couple of seconds. And then we're going to release through our mouths with a sigh. So we'll do that 2 more times, taking a really big inhale with our noses when we get going, and imagining even your lungs as 2 beautiful balloons, really stretching and expanding with that inward breath. And then we're going to hold it right at the top for a few seconds. And then we'll release with that sigh, just allowing ourselves to really release anything inside that doesn't serve us, create some more spaciousness around our hearts. So we'll do that 2 more times. Go ahead and inhale through your nose. And for our last time, we'll do that beautiful inhale, hold it at the top, and then let yourself sigh it out. Really release. Our last one together now. Inhale. Now your right hand still on your heart, your left hand still right there over your womb. Back to regular, gentle breathing. And as you're holding yourself in this moment, just really showing up powerfully for you, I want you to think of something that you feel grateful for. It doesn't have to be grand or a really big joy. It can be a tiny joy. Maybe someone let you merge in front of them today and there was ease to that, or you lucked out in some way, or saw your child smile, or you're just grateful to exist. And I want you to hold that feeling deep in your chest as you hold yourself. And just really allow yourself to savor it. Feel safe in that gratitude. Even if it feels natural, let yourself have a smile come across your mouth. Really holding that space of gratefulness and worthiness and enoughness. And just say to yourself right now as we close out, silently in your own mind, I am worthy. I give and receive love freely. What God has for me is enough. Couple more breaths. And whenever it feels comfortable, you can gently open your eyes. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna go into like some other pieces there, but I wanted to make sure we were settled before I started to talk about all the signs of burnout. Okay. So keep that energy. We'll be sharing, meditations with you. So you'll get the link to that and others. But I thought before we get into all the stuff, might be a good idea to just remember, take that moment, um, and actually practice bringing some balance into our lives by just taking a little bit of time. So with each of these, there are 15 signs of burnout. I want you to just, like, as we go through them, try to give yourself some grace if this is something you're experiencing, okay? And like, it's okay. We're going to give some tips for what to do as we go through this. So, would you say that you are feeling more tired than usual? Um, and that's like in the last couple weeks or so, right? Just thinking about how you show up for work, or when you get home, when you're trying to relax, do you find like you're not actually feeling rested? Um, I resonated with this at one point recently, where everything is annoying. Find yourself critical of work tasks. Sometimes a sign of burnout can be you feeling bored or unchallenged, starting to think that, oh, maybe you're being called to another career. Maybe it'd be different maybe you need something else to try, right? Yeah. Some other things for burnout. Everything takes more energy than usual. It's very tedious. Like stuff that used to be easy, now you're finding like just annoying. Um, this one I think many of us can be guilty of. Do you skip lunch? Okay. Or do you find yourself coming in late, calling out, feeling unmotivated? Are you getting sick more often? Just that persistent cold, can't seem to shake it, finding yourself um, not feeling as well as you want to, wondering, do you have COVID? Is there something else new? By the way, pneumonia is on the rise. So if you are feeling sick, and this is part of it, we do need to work on our immune system. So definitely, be mindful of that. Um, are you fantasizing about a different career with less responsibility? I often hear my friends joke about, I think I should just go work at Starbucks. I think it's actually kind of a stressful position. So I'm not sure it's the best thing, but that's that's one of the things I'll come up. You resent or feel overwhelmed in the work that you're doing as you're trying to serve your clients, like where it might have used to give you a lot of like energy. Now you're actually feeling overwhelmed by it. That is a sign of burnout. Or you feel like your work is meaningless. You just can't see like having an impact, like you're having a positive impact. So I mentioned already, burnout is different than depression, right? So when we're thinking about burnout, it's more around some of these issues. And as as you're paying attention, you might want to notice, are you finding yourself kind of self-medicating? That can look like lots of different things, sweets, savory food, for example. Are you struggling to sleep? Yeah, so you're still getting sleep, but maybe struggling to sleep. Concentration, that's gonna like double impact of that, right? So it's harder to stay focused. Um, in addition to getting sick, your medical issues are worse. And the most important or biggest sign of like burnout is when you're like actually worried that you might be burning out. Okay. The key here, and what I wanted to make sure we were sharing with all of you, is that there are three things. There are many that you can do, but I wanted you to walk away with three things that you could do to start with in addressing any of these like symptoms around burnout. Well, and the fourth one is going to be breathing. But the first is to set an intention, like right now. And I think some of you did that in our chat, right? In the very beginning, like, I'm going to find balance. I'm going to focus in on that, actually make that a priority. What could be an action that you can take? If you are not getting good sleep, maybe you need to start thinking, you have an opportunity to really protect your sleep environment. I know for me, even like my phone is with me and it probably shouldn't be, but at least I put it on silent and in sleep mode, right? So what are the things that you're doing to actually help you, be well? So that means set yourself up for success by being very specific. So if you want to create more balance in your life, if you want to have more empathy in your life, what is that specific thing going to be? So that we went through 15 different things that are going on. You can pick one, right? For sleep, paying attention to maybe having more balance in terms of what you're eating, not skipping lunch. Make a plan with a colleague and actually not skip lunch. Go to lunch with someone. I think that would be wonderful. Set it for 21 days, see how you do. And then the third strategy with this is actually tell someone what you're going to do. This is true of almost any habit, but we are so much more likely to follow through on something if we have told someone that we are working on it. And, it's good to tell someone who's actually going to follow up with you as well, but just having told someone is one step. Okay. Um, so the other things that we can always do is actually take that 5 minutes, take that 10 minutes and do some deep breathing. Actually give yourself that time. Set an alarm on your clock and stand up every hour for a few minutes. Get up and walk around. Make that an intentional part of your day. Is this resonating with anybody so far? I love this. Yes, an accountability partner. There you go. Right. That's what we've got to do. Like these are the things. Um, I also wanted to mention this book. A colleague recommended it. I got it right away. And let me tell you, it has been wonderful. It is a wonderful book. It's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace. And when you are looking for some practical strategies, you want to figure out some ways in which you can learn how to tell someone, like, this is my boundary, learn how to say the no, being a complete sentence. Really good resource for this. So one is really in terms of addressing burnout and all kinds of other things that happen in our lives, learning how to set boundaries. And boundaries in everything from your friends, your coworkers, yourself. So very important. Another strategy that I find, these are two of my favorite mantras, is to just say to myself and have up in my office and room that I deserve to have all of my needs met all of the time. You deserve to have all of your needs met all of the time. Okay. As a Black woman, there's been sort of a thing where we don't talk about need, right? I don't need anybody. I think as women, as people, there's like this thing to like shy away from need. And what we want to say is, you know what? We have needs and we deserve to have our needs met. It's okay to have needs. Another really wonderful mantra that I was actually taught, you need to sing. So you say it 10 times and you sing it. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And just in different ways, sing it, move with it every day in every way. I'm getting better and better. Okay. And then another one that's really helpful to me is prayer. Um, I am Catholic, identify as a Black Catholic. And one of the things that I find really helpful to do are novenas. It's a nine days of sort of an intentional prayer process. But finding ways that you are intentional about it, I think can be really helpful. And that prayer can look like all different kinds of things. I have lots of friends who are Franciscan, and prayer can be planting plants, right? Taking care of animals, being out in nature, doing a nature walk. Prayers, all different kinds of ways of being. So just, stretch your imagination and think about that. Another wonderful resource I wanted to share, in a little bit, we're going to invite you to share which ones you might try here. Is Atomic Habits. And one of the things that they talk about in Atomic Habits is trying to get just 1% better every day. If you set a goal of just doing 1% better or something every day, imagine what would happen if you did that for 10 days. Now you're 10% better, right? It's like just taking a little bit at a time. So that's one little tip. Another is to actually lift up someone else. So either call a friend or send a friend a text that is uplifting for the next 21 days. You don't even have to tell them, but just make it an intention, do some outreach. It really helps. And then, as we've mentioned before, set that timer, take a walk. I think another piece could be really helpful. Take a nap. Anybody doing that? Yes. This is such a good book. Yeah. And then practice saying no. Okay, just practice saying no. It's not always the easiest thing for us, but practice makes perfect. Yes, Pam, take a nap. Learn how to nap well. Naps are really helpful. Um, Or like take a moment to like do a little art. Remember when we were all doing the little doodling thing and like coloring and coloring books and stuff like that? That's actually helpful, so those things do make a difference. So um sometimes we need to be reminded to go back and do those things that we were doing before. Now, a strategy I wanted to give you, and when I do my coaching work with folks, this is one of the things that we start off with. I want people to practice getting outside of your executive thinking, this part of your brain that has words. And so when you're trying to move toward things that are going to help you feel better, I want you to actually draw it out on one sheet of paper. Like, do a visual of it. What do you want your ideal day, your ideal week to actually feel like? Create that visual. Um, and try to create it without words. I mean, and get as detailed as you can. If are not happy about like your art skills or something like that, you can use the internet and grab pictures and create a vision board. You can actually go and get pictures from magazines, back in the day, what we used to do when we actually had like physical magazines. But create that vision and encourage yourself to do that without necessarily using lots of words. All things that we can be doing. So I was going to invite a colleague to share a few things here. We're going to give you a link. All right, Tony.
We're going to give you a link. This is a wonderful book by Angela Duckworth. It's called Grit. It's been around for a couple years, but it's actually worth investing the time. It's $9.99 for the Audible and $12 for the book on my system. But we want you to do is in the chat there should be a link to the quiz that we want you to take. Deja.
Dropping it now.
We want everybody to take this quiz and get your score, and we'll talk about it. Everybody get it? Got a thumbs up? Okay. Thanks, guys. Everybody give me a thumbs up when we're finished. What we're going to do is we're going to get you in a little breakout room to talk about what you found out about yourself and what you think about this. We want you to discuss your results. I put you in rooms of 3 people per room and share your results.
Have the rooms opened up?
Yep.
Okay. Where do you want me to jump in?
I am trying to move some people around.
Oh,
I think everybody's got somebody in the room. I don't know why some of these are two people. It didn't do what it was supposed to. Jump into 4 or 5. She just went to 7.
I'm gonna jump into 4.
How about jumping into 11? Somebody's by themselves.
Okay.
Hey, Kadisha. Hey. Everybody's got somebody. Gayla Taylor Parker, are you in a room? It says that you are in a room. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I just got home, so I was on my phone and now I'm joining from my desktop. So I'm gonna leave from one and join on the other, but I was in a breakout room on my phone. I can finish that and then I'll hang
Okay,
up
'cause
on the
you're in
phone.
with Marcy Gray. You're in there with
Yeah.
her.
We're in a breakout room, so I'll finish on the phone, then I'll switch
Thank you.
over.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Marcy, I'm sorry I didn't complete it, but you can tell me the questions, maybe I can answer them.
Khadijah, you know how I can mute somebody? I can't seem to see how to do it. It may not be an issue, but 12. Oh, Lord, I don't know what she's doing. I put 3 people in a room and they said some of them have 2 people in a room.
What phone
We need to mute her.
is the personal thing? Yeah. Yeah, I can nail the work stuff. I got that. Okay, we need by when, got it. Personal, I'm like, can I exercise today? Yesterday. That's why we need to mark it.
You did it. You're so smart. And one of the things that we talked about is the book that we send will be one of the ones that we have that are part of the slide deck today. Did you get that? You're on mute.
Okay, there we go. Can you repeat that again?
Hold on. Hey, Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie. I'll put it in chat.
Hi there.
We're in a breakout room. We're getting ready to come back. So if you'll hold your tater tots, we'll be back. They'll be back in just a minute.
How do you know I was eating pirate booty right about now?
Oh my God, I love it.
It's nice to see you, Tony.
It's good to see you, sweetie.
I was wondering where Dr. Deirdre was.
Well, she slipped into a room, a breakout room. How was that, guys? Did you find out something about yourself? I did when I took my quiz. Jamie, you got a smile on your face. Do you have any insights to share?
I think it was interesting. We didn't, going off the score, we didn't really know whether it was a good score or a bad score, right? Like we were just kind of going in blind. So, and I think we all kind of shared what we thought our score meant to us.
Anybody else want to share what they've found out about themselves, or share for your partner what they found out?
To be honest, I had a 4.8 and I did not like my score. And as I mentioned in the group, that the reason I'm here is so that I can learn to back up and to not be so intentional and to let some things hang out on the shelf. And that's exactly why I'm here, because I did mention that when I just had a bout of bronchitis, and as I walked out the door, my doctor told me, stop being so controlling.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too. I said, oh, well, slap me with the truth. But the bottom line is I have to be more intentional about understanding that things will continue to go on without me. And especially in the work environment, because I tell myself every day, my job is to make sure that everyone knows how to do my job. So I know that the world will not end if I don't show up to work. So anyway, that's my little insight on why I'm upset. I need to get a 3.
Miss Beverly, you're wonderful. And it's good to see you in this space.
You also.
So for me, it was, you know, there's so much in recovery that we think, we're so unique, but for one thing, all three of us in the group had a similar score. We were either a 3.1 or a 3 or a 2.9. So we're all right there, sort of in the middle, struggling with a lot of the same things. And, so as I continue to educate myself and be aware of um not not just my body and the decisions that I make about what I do with it, but how my motivation to do or not do needs to be something that I prioritize what I want, trying to focus on what I want instead of maybe what others are wanting from me. So anyway, I don't know if that made sense. It was kind of a ramble, but it was good.
thank you. It's back over to you, Dr. Hawkins.
Well, I love this conversation, and I get right, like, what does this mean? Am I over here? Am I over there? So there's lots to explore that you can go into from the grittiness piece. When we think about grit, it's really just recognizing that we can all learn from where we are, like what works for us. So I wouldn't want you to say, oh, I have a bad score or a good score. It's about understanding who you are and what your strengths are and where your energy may be. So I was sharing in my group that I might be on the sort of high end in terms of like not letting go of things and being a little compulsive with stuff. And I think Beverly was kind of like vibing with me on that one, right? So my work and one of my mantras is let go or be dragged, right? Like that's been part of my work, is learning how to still not burn out by being so into or focused on certain things. And so when we, as we're hitting the tail end of this presentation, um, one of the ways you do this, one of the ways we can use both understanding our grittiness factor and whether or not we were high on, burnout. And again, I'm not making sure I'm making a distinction between burnout and depression, is that it's still helpful to find a group. Now that group might be like knitting or bowling or like painting, like doing something fun. This is not necessarily a therapy group. I do also recommend, though, getting therapy. Sometimes we need help with understanding that codependency or how we need to set those boundaries, and just getting some perspective that's outside of, our friend group. If you are a leader, if you run meetings, if you help engage other folks, I want to encourage you to give your team 10 to 30 minutes to connect. And especially if you work virtually, one of the things I see that gets missed out on is that we just don't do that kind of natural checking in, really getting personal, giving people space to talk. And some great questions that you could open that up with is, what makes you feel seen and valued? We've done work with organizations before and heard all kinds of stories about what people actually need and want to be able to feel seen and valued. If you have folks who work holidays, for example, making sure that you're still getting them like a Father's Day card if they happen to be working on Father's Day. Um, just paying attention to those little things. And then another great question that you could use in getting connected to your team is that, who's made a difference in your career? Like giving them a chance to talk about maybe the things that they've done to, really invest in themselves, or if there is somebody else in their family that's helped them, that's helped lead them in their career and their work, that's made a difference. I want to encourage you, as we're practicing self-compassion and empathy, to honor your own needs. Okay, I'll come back to lunch again, like taking time to eat and not just giving yourself like 10 minutes for lunch, but like a real lunch. Again, set those boundaries. That boundary might be actually around like um, giving yourself the time so that you're packing and you're preparing so that you can have a decent lunch and you like know where you're going to go. You're not like running out and getting past all the things. And then something I see so often is that sometimes we have people around us who actually want to help and we don't let them. So accept help from people and accept praise from people. When someone says you've done something good and that they appreciate what you're doing, practice saying thank you instead of like, oh, it was nothing. How many of us do that, right? Oh, so really practice like accepting both the help and the praise. We probably don't have enough time to watch this video, but I did want to just share with you a resource on self-compassion and empathy as we think about sort of blame issues. Brene Brown has some wonderful pieces that are here that help us with this. And so in our work and as we think about, one of the symptoms with empathy, take you there.
What's going on?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Brian, something's going on over there. Okay. Ah, okay. When we're thinking about what we can be doing, I want you to be aware of monitoring your own inner dialogue. What is the story you're telling yourself? Are we thinking that other people are also competent? Are we saying to ourselves, we really believe what people are sharing with us that's positive and good? Are we trying to assign blame and shame? How do we feel about that? Just, be aware of that internal dialogue. Okay, we have like 5 minutes. And this is an opportunity for questions, comments, reflections. I believe someone is also going to be getting our little book giveaway. So Anything anyone wants to say?
Well, I
While we're
enjoyed the
running the
training. I enjoyed the training. It was very helpful to me.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bonnie. Pam, I see a hand up.
Yes, thank you so much for just having this training. I'm telling you, I'm on the cusp of burnout, and the way that I answered each of those questions let me know, and then resonating with every single thing that you posted in the slides. I was like, Deidre, I'm gonna need those slides so I can just pin them on my wall because I am resonating with everything, and I think that we don't do enough to make sure that we don't burn out. So thank you for this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are definitely things that we can do. You're not alone. And yes, we'll share slides. I want to make sure I say this. Do not tell yourself, just put your head down and keep working. Like, don't do that. Okay. Like, give yourself a break. Okay. Just give yourself a break. Give yourself time. Honor your needs. Practice those boundaries. Go through, pick something, create an intention, set the intention, move forward with that. Babs.
Good afternoon, my friend. Just wanted to say I'm so glad that you mentioned your mantra of let go or be dragged, because I have that written down I have a little notebook that's like my brain dump notebook. And I had that written down, but I hadn't attributed it to anyone. So I frequently repeat that mantra to myself, and it has been so helpful. So now I know I can attribute it to my beautiful friend. So thank you so much for sharing today. And these webinars always, even if I'm multitasking, they always lift my spirit. So just want to thank you and your team for pouring into us today, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I have to say, when we were doing our meditation, I was just thankful to all of you. Like, all of you. I so appreciate the energy and you showing up and knowing we're all part of this. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Khadijah, I think you're spinning the wheel. So how are we looking? Who's our winner, our first winner for today?
We have Eddie Towson.
Is Eddie here? Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll do.
All right,
someone.
we'll spin again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deirdre, as always.
Oh, you're welcome.
Always appreciate you. Thank you so much, guys.
You are so
Bye-bye.
welcome. Yes, and thank you all for doing the. Marcy, are you here?
I didn't win anything. This is what did I win?
All right, you're gonna win a book. So we're gonna need to get your information, and we'll be sending you one of the 3 books that we mentioned today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want me to just click my information in the chat?
Yes. Perfect.
Just
We need your
mailing
name,
address? Is
number,
that what
and name, number, and mailing address, please.
Okay.
And we'll do one more, right? And then we'll close it out.
Michael.
Michael.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll get to see you all soon. Well, everyone, as we close this out today, I just want to say thank you first. As a number of you are not getting have not gotten our newsletter yet, so please sign up for that. And if you haven't done the facilitator training with us, it's a great opportunity to connect with other people and actually practice learning how to use your story and make some connections. And also wanted to mention that I will be offering some spaces for executive coaching starting in the new year. So be on the lookout, sign up. You can go to our website for that as well. And thank you all. We hope that you set that intention, set the intention, make it specific, and tell a friend. DJ.
I just had a quick question. I got grit and setting boundaries, set boundaries, find peace. I didn't get the third book.
Atomic Habits.
Thank you.
Okie dokie.
Very good book. Thank you all.
Thank you so
Enjoy your
much, everyone.
Thanksgiving holiday.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
DJ, did you have
Thanksgiving.
another question? No, it's not.
Thank
Kathy,
you
good to
so
see
much.
you.